Well, joining us now is Israel Bachar, Israeli Consul General. Thank you so much for being with us today. Reports late today are that Israel's retaliation would be more limited than what we were hearing yesterday. What changed and what might that look like?
Hello. I'm not sure that it changed, and I'm not sure that really people who are commentating about it really knows the details, what's going on behind the scene in the war cabinet. I can tell you that the Prime Minister and his team keep the details very close to their chest, but there is a principle that we follow for many years in Israel, which is that Israel is going to maintain its deterrence and its sovereignty. So Iran attacked us the last weekend very severely. Thank God and thank to the American help and the Israeli pilots that we succeeded to fend off this attack. But Israel is going to do what it needs to do at the time that it will choose to operate. It doesn't have to be tonight, but eventually I believe that we are going to retaliate in a smart way and in the way that the region understands that Israel cannot be attacked by another military force.
Iran attacked Israel directly from Iran, not using a proxy. Would you retaliate by striking back inside Iran?
I can tell you as follows. If Iran is going to do it again, I can guarantee you 100% that Israel is going to retaliate inside Iran.
Inside Iran.
If they're going to do it again. If they're going to attack us again the way they attack us this weekend, Israel definitely will retaliate inside Iran, but I do not believe that Iran is going to do it again. And here is the point. The point is about if a country can maintain a deterrence in the region or not. And Israel, for many, many years, succeeded to survive in this difficult region thanks to our deterrence. So we cannot allow our deterrence to be shuttered down by the Iranians. So I'm calling the international community, if you do want to de-escalate in the region, exercise your pressure on Iran, on Hezbollah, on the Houthis, and to other proxies that Iran is using, and that's where the pressure needs to go.
Yeah,
not
but
on Israel,
you know as well as I know that very few people have the ear of the leaders in Iran, except for perhaps Russian President Putin or Chinese President Xi. I mean, Iran. The United States has no communication with Iran and hasn't had for years.
I disagree with you, totally disagree with you. I think that first of all, America do have different ways to communicate to Iran its position, international position, and they do it regularly when they have to do it. And there's enough way to send the message that you want to send to Iran. And Iran is responding generally to one thing, only one thing, which is a credible military threat. If Iran is going to believe that there is an international community that can threaten it militarily, it will respond to it in a way that's going to benefit the de-escalation in the region.
Right. Okay. Well, the United States has not communicated directly with Iran for years. We communicate through proxies in Europe or through the Middle East. We do not communicate directly with Iran. Would Israel try and coordinate with the United States on its response, even if the United States is refusing to take part in any military action?
Yeah, most likely, yes. We have very, very close military relationship between the Israeli defense establishment and the American establishment. Also, there's open channels between the Israeli government and the American government on a daily basis. We share intelligence and we share our thoughts, and the Americans share their concerns, and we take the American concerns into consideration. However, Israel must defend itself by itself and to supply and to make sure that the Israeli citizens are safe. In the end of the day, we are the one that lives in the region. The Israeli population is the one that's being attacked. And after the severe attack that we experienced on October 7th by the Iranian proxy, Hamas is a total Iranian proxy, we need to make sure that we maintain our strong position in the region. It's about time that everybody understands that Israel is stronger than what they think that we are. We are very strong, and most of the time we restrain ourselves. We do not want to escalate, but we have to defend ourselves.
Iran is warning that, quote, even the smallest action against Iran's interest will be met with severe, extensive, and painful response. Are you concerned at all that whatever Israel decides to do in retaliation, as you said, 100% it will do, that it will in fact escalate things?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what Iran means by saying that they're gonna attack and escalate. I don't know what do they mean by it. However, what I do know that Iran is running every day to try to acquire a nuclear bomb, and that's completely going to change the Middle East. And then we're going to speak about escalation on a daily basis, not only yearly basis. So if the international community, including Israel, wants to stop Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon, that's the time. They're that close, according to the American intelligence, of acquiring a nuclear bomb. So if we do want to strengthen the Middle East peace and moderation and economic cooperation, we need to come together with the international community and make sure that Iran is being stopped.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.